Getting there. Okay, we're live.
Sweet. Okay, so first one. It asks us to find the derivative of the tangent of x, which it tells us is equal to sine of x over cosine of x, and use the quotient rule. So you write sine of x over cosine of x is equal to u over v, and quotient rule is v times u. So we have cos v times u prime. So we have cosine times the derivative of sine, which is cosine. So we have cosine times cosine, which is cosine squared. And then we add that to u times the derivative of v, so sine times the derivative of cosine, which is a negative sine. So we have, sine times negative sine, which is negative sine squared. So we have all of that over v squared, which is cosine squared of x. And I wrote it all down. Now I'm just confusing myself. But the cosine of squared of x minus the sine squared of x is equal to 1, right? Fairly certain. Yes. And then we have that over cosine squared of x. And with trigonometric identities, that's equal to secant squared of x.
Here's one. I think that I was working on the wrong one. I most definitely was.
Oops. I was like, was I not supposed to do week 5, day 4?
No. I don't know what happened. All right. That's okay. I should be able to figure this out anyway as we go along.
Okay. So which one did you do?
I am not entirely sure. I was doing okay. I was doing part B, the one with 18 problems.
Oops.
That's what it was. Okay.
I can go check that one out too real fast. I mean,
No, it's okay. We can do A. A is simpler anyway.
okay.
All right. So the next one, it looks like we're just proving what tan, tangent, secant, and cosecant. So that's pretty easy.
I looked at B and I was like, this is basically just the application of knowing the identities. So
yeah,
maybe I didn't know if you knew them. So I was like, we should probably do this. Have we ever heard from the other guy?
No, he hasn't emailed. I think that he works in the evening, so I don't even know if he's signed in the same group.
Weird.
Oh well. As long as I get credit for this, that's all I really care about.
Yeah.
All right. The next one is the derivative of cotangent x, which, as we both know, cotangent is actually cosine x over sine x. So we break that down, and we got negative sine x. 1 second. Yeah, sorry. I was thinking about antiderivatives with the last test. I was going over the answers, so I'm thinking of how to do division with the antiderivative. Okay. I think I got this. So we got the, like you were saying, the derivative of u. No, it's u times the derivative of v minus the derivative of u times v over v squared, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think you might have said the same thing twice on the top part, but I know what you meant.
It's important that it's done in the correct order, though, with with division just because of the negative.
Yeah.
But so the derivative of sine x is cosine x. Okay, it is the derivative of v times u and then derivative of u times v. Okay, so that would mean that the first part is cosine x times,
actually, no, it's v times the derivative of u.
V times the derivative of u. Okay.
Minus u times the derivative of v.
Okay, I always get that messed up. That was the only thing that I got wrong on the first exam. Is those two.
I just remember like my teacher gave us like a stupid handout when I was in high school, and I still have the handout, but I remember that it's always the v first. Like it starts and ends with a v, and so I always think, "Go team, win." I don't know why. I just do.
Okay, so we got v, which is sine of x, times the derivative of cosine x, which is negative sine x, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Minus v, which is cosine x, times the derivative of sine x, which is cosine x, all over sine x squared. And let's see. You can then take a negative 1 out of that. So it would be negative 1 times sine squared x plus cosine squared x, all over sine squared x. And based on the previous trig rules, we know that sine squared x plus cosine squared x equals 1. So that makes negative 1 over sine squared x. And all that is negative cosecant. Cosecant, right?
Yep.
Cosecant squared x.
Yep. Sounds good to me.
More painful than it should have been.
It's fine. Okay, so number 3 was the secant of the derivative of secant of x, and which is first things first. It told us to use the quotient rule again, so secant can also be written as 1 over the cosine of x.
Yep.
And so I just wrote it out the same ways we've done before. V times derivative of u, which in this case is really easy because the derivative of 1 is 0, so it's just 0. Minus u times the derivative of v, which is 1 times a negative sine squared. And since we had a minus sine, negative sine, not sine squared, sorry. Oops. Since we had a minus negative sign, it becomes plus sign. And then we have in the bottom v squared, which is just cosine squared. And nifty little trick I'd remember from high school was you could write it as sine squared over cosine squared times 1 over cosine squared, because you can just break that cosine up.
Yeah.
And so that equals, since sine squared sine why do I keep saying squared? Sine of x over cosine of x is the tangent of x.
Yep.
And 1 over cosine of x is secant of x. So you have secant of x times tangent of x.
Okay. I was a little confused there for a second when you kept saying sine squared x.
Yeah. It's just like a weird habit in my head because it always pops up in calculus, doesn't it?
Yeah, sine squared x is going to be a big thing in our next section, I think.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So our final one is cosecant x, which we both know is 1 over sine x. And just like the last one, it's pretty easy because the derivative of 1 is 0. So it's 0 minus, and then we got 1 times the derivative of sine x, which is cosine x over sine x squared. That ends up being negative cosine x over sine squared x, which you can then break apart as you did to make negative 1 over sine x, and cosine x over sine x, which negative 1 over sine x equals negative cosecant x, and cosine x over sine x is cotangent x.
Mm-hmm. And that's your derivative.
Yep. We just all the derivative rules.
it's really useful to have these memorized.
Yeah.
So I have 12 minutes left, and then I need to go to a study session for my biology class. Do you want to go through a couple of part B?
If you want to. Otherwise, I'm okay with calling it.
I kind of do want. I just want to go over a couple of them with numbers because there's some of them like I was looking at the homework about 20 minutes ago, and it was just I could use a little bit of refresher with other people that know how to do it still.
Okay. I'll
Okay.
go ahead and start with the first one unless you want to get it.
You can just start talking, and I'm just pulling it up right now.
Okay. So the first one is, I believe, x to the negative 9th times cotangent x.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just applied the multiplication rule with the derivative. And so we got negative 9x to the negative 10th times cotangent x plus x to the negative 9 times negative cosecant squared x, as we just proved. And then that breaks down, well, I mean, it doesn't break down to anything. That is the answer. If you want it to look prettier, you could go negative 9 cotangent x over x to the 10th. But it's not necessary.
Yeah.
I actually like it better when they're all on the same line.
I get that. So, yeah, just okay. So the ones I'm kind of having, I remember how to do it with E and stuff because E's derivative is literally my favorite thing ever.
It is E.
It is E, E to the X. But when you have stuff like on number 10 where it says the cosine of X over 3 minus secant square of X, because all you do is write that out in a giant quotient rule.
Yep. That's all you do.
That's not fun.
No, it's actually quite gross. But
sometimes I think it's kind of odd on our homework problems how complicated they are, and then on the test it's like the basic or more basic ones. I'm like, what?
I appreciate that because I spend way too much time on some homework problems.
I appreciate it. I just don't like it at all. Like, some of the story problems yesterday, I was like, I hate my life.
I will admit that I skipped some of them and just took a lower grade.
I did too. Okay.
But today was pretty easy for me.
Yeah. I mean,
most of it's not too complicated. You just have to remember some of the basic rules, like e to the negative x is negative e to the negative x. You know, just small things like that. And as long as you remember the derivatives of all of the trig functions, it goes pretty smoothly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, other questions?
I think I'm good. If you're good with calling it, I'm good with calling it.
Yeah, I've already done the homework for today, so.
Okay, cool. Well, I think this is our last group session of us. I don't know for sure.
Is it being switched around?
I thought she said every 2 weeks, but I guess that would mean we switched last week, but we didn't.
Yeah, I have no idea. I also think that it's kind of foolish to switch them around once you figured out.
Yeah. I mean, it took us. I got a 0 on week 3 because
we had no idea what was going on.
Yeah. That I don't like how she put some things on the email and some things on iLearn, but it's fine.
Yeah. All right. Well, I will probably see you next week unless we get reassigned.
Okay. See ya.